Like I used to wake up as a child, like speaking light language. I didn't know what that was. I just thought that was weird. Like I'd wake up, right? I'd wake up because I was so loud, and I'd wake up and I'd be sitting up in the bed speaking an unknown language. And I just thought, what is that? I used to go out and do CE5s and calling in the interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, calling in anything that wasn't human, basically, just wanting to mix it up. And I went for a QHHT session, and I was saying to her, like, I'm going up a mountain with a group of people. I don't know what their intentions are. So I hope we're going to get the good ETs, And she said, but that's so much effort. She said, like, it's the middle of winter, you're up a mountain, it's minus something, your fingers are freezing, and it's kind of scary. Why don't you just close your eyes and go and meet them on the inside? Years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I was listening to a guy called Ian Clayton, and he was teaching by location. And so you're physically seen in another location. You're not more so than just a person having an experience in life. There's just something so much more that we can't really put our finger on, but it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking magic. It's magic. Isn't it? Like, not as in magic, but it's just the most beautiful thing. And it's also quite overwhelming at the same time.
And it's experiences like this that are walking you along the path to where you ultimately find the question that you're going to go deeper into yourself for. Do I have a choice of where I go when I die?
I had no interest. And when I was dying, I just thought, well, I just leave this place and go somewhere else. But the documentary horrified me. And I thought, wow, maybe I got that wrong. Like maybe I should be worried. And I just had one question. And so she said, okay, that's fine. So when we went into the session, it was a very unusual experience because I went right in. I just listened to her voice, totally trusted. I went right in, and there was like, say if I got two postcards, one of Spain and one of the desert, and I tore them both in half and I put them together like two different scenes,
Mhm.
totally different. I went into a place where there was two different scenes. And she said, well, which one are you going to pick? And I said, I'll pick the barren one. The other one looks like a very colorful place. And I said, no, the barren one. And I was this little insect being on a consciousness machine. And I'd never really kind of been that interested in anything like that. So that was really widely opened me up to different versions of what we are now, parallel worlds. But she said to me, you got your question answered because the moment you left and you went on this journey, you had a choice. So you're going to have a choice when you leave your body. And I'm like, okay.
I
And
noticed in the first year that I started going out that I would have these two types of experiences. One where I was sort of on my own and, coming across these ridiculously comical situations in which I kept pushing and failing in the experience. And the other, which, was like when I was accompanied. And when I was accompanied, when my higher being was there rather doing the driving, everything, went real smoothly. I went really far out, all this other kind of stuff. The OBE was easy, it was effortless. I could just go for the ride and observe. And life is like that too. We can either, focus the attention, get to that still point, allow what is behind us to come into our experience and ride the wave of that, or we can leave it behind and focus fully to the front and flap about and fall down and get hurt and go through all of this. And for a period of time, we're meant to. We're meant to do that so that we can come back into the awareness that there is something behind us and to again begin to let that back into our life experience. And it's a process. Do you keep a log of your meditations?
here we go. Here's the teacher. No, I don't.
Well, if you really want to push yourself,
I know I do sometimes. If I have in a different experience, I love it.
here's the thing. It's very challenging to conceptualize data in expanded states if you don't begin writing them down. So it's like
Mhm.
when you wake up from a dream, unless you conceptualize it in your mind in a way that lets you write it down, it keeps being ephemeral. You know,
Yeah.
there's something going on in there when you're in that state, but you don't know what it is. It's too ephemeral for you to touch. You actually have to use your cognitive faculties to start to put words on it, even some of it, even one aspect of it. This will begin to break you in on the visuals that you're actually observing in there. You're just not cognizing the fact that you are yet. That's what I had to bring in, and I brought it in last,
Mhm.
was the cognitive faculty. And so, yeah, that takes conceptualization and writing them down. And then
Yeah.
as you do that, it begins happening more and more easily.
Become the observer and the witness at the same time. And I'm doing that for the next 6 months because that's a commitment. I've never wanted to. I did it years ago, and then you're like, well, what's the point? I never read back on these things ever.
Reading back on them is important also down the line. Because day one, when you begin a practice, you're right at ground zero. You're standing right up on the wall. So close to the wall you can't see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you write down one practice session worth of information,
Mhm.
you don't really see much, right? But now at the end of the week, you see a larger data set.
Yeah.
End of the month, an even larger data set. And then at the end of 6 months and the end of a year. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see a much larger picture when you're looking at the year. So it's really interesting to go back into the logs and read a large span of time. So you can
Yeah.
see a larger things begin to make more sense because with one practice, again, you might be getting the hair of the tail of the elephant, and through other ones, you're getting the ear and the eye, and then, but when you take them in all together, you're getting the elephant. You're like, oh, of
If
course.
I'm kind of in and out, I'm half foot in, half foot out, and I'm very casual about it, and I don't give it enough credit because it's just there. The information I need is there, and I can do stuff real quick. But documenting and over the years, um, the voices, the higher self, whatever that is, would say, write it down, and I go, why? What's the point? Because I'm just going to have another experience later. Why do I have to write all them down? My consciousness knows, and I'd have these debates, but I regret it now.
Do it and you'll see why. Don't do it and
I
you won't see why. It's like the people who
no.
say, oh, well, why meditate? Why do I need to do that? I already know that it's important or that I need to. I can just do it when I'm doing my living. Formal practice isn't really necessary. You can hear it, right? But
Uh-huh.
when you stop resisting it, I mean, if you're really ready to go the
Yeah.
distance now,
Oh, I am.
and if you're not, you won't start writing down.
Yeah.
But if you really are, then you will. It,
Yeah.
it it'll feel natural. It'll feel, yes, this is the right thing to start doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
And
Love
it
it.
remembers things. It's interesting how our memory works. One, if we don't repeat things, we tend to forget.
Yeah.
So you can have a mind-blowing out-of-body experience, not write it down, never share it, never repeat what happened in the experience, and it's gone. Just like what we did 2 weeks ago at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is gone.
I know.
So what the journal does, it's an actual body.
Hmm.
It's an additional body. We're going to extend our body to to include
Lovely.
this. And it's going to hold the data for us.
Love that.
Okay. It's going to embody what happened right here in 3D physical space for us. Come back and read it again in a week, in 3 months. The things that happen in our daily life, we tend to repeat and share with other people.
Mhm.
Portions of it will make sense in the moment of what's happening right there in life, right?
Yeah.
And so that gets us speaking it. Yes. And now we're bringing it even more into the world. We're not just writing it down, we're speaking it. Yes. Now, if we record that conversation, we have another log. You know how many things I remember differently when I'm just off the cuff saying it to somebody than when I go back and look at my logs?
Really.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
with timeline or time flow of something. This happened before this. Anyway, yeah, we start to remember things wrong. Biba Logan. So you are a QHHT practitioner, but you also do etcontact regression. And I know that this talk is going to go into a series. The series is just titled What is Really Out There,
Mhm.
which goes into just what it says, what's really out there.
There's a lot going on out there.
How would you answer that question, by the way?
What is really out there?
Yeah, what is really out there? When you regress yourself, when you have an experience, when you regress others, what are you finding? What's out there? How would you answer that question just simply?
Well, whatever is out there is on the inside.
Mm,
So if you explore yourself, and I don't mean your person, Biba is a person. I wasn't born Biba. I was called Biba when I was born, but what I am, my essence, when I begin to inquire about that and really try to understand that and get to know it and give that space and time in my reality, then I know what's out there because I've seen it on the inside. I've connected to something, I used to go out and do CE5s and calling in the interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, calling in anything that wasn't human, basically, just wanting to mix it up. And I went for a QHHT session and I was saying to her, like, I'm going up a mountain with a group of people. I don't know what their intentions are. So I hope we're going to get the good ETs. And she said, but that's so much effort. She said, like, it's the middle of winter, you're up a mountain, it's minus something, your fingers are freezing, and it's kind of scary. Why don't you just close your eyes and go and meet them on the inside? And
mm,
that was like really not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear, yeah. And no, she was like, no, Biba, contact starts inside before it's outside.
mm,
She said, for me, and I think you could do that. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to see a spaceship. I want to see an ET. It's not like I need proof because why would I need proof? I just, like, I suppose you're watching movies your whole life and we're so used to seeing everything with these eyes and then that's real. But actually, that was a years and years ago. And I go in a lot and I have had a lot of contact on the inside.
mhm.
I'm a fractal of the universe. So are you. So that's how you travel into
Exactly.
the wormhole of yourself. You know what I mean? Into the black hole of yourself to
Yes,
get out there.
this is the same process in meditation. And as you know, I come from meditation, right?
Yeah.
So you are sitting or laying down quietly, either closing the eyes or leaving them open, and allowing your brainwave frequencies to shift patterns. And when that happens, once you reach a certain state of relaxation, yes, the other frequency dimensions begin opening us
Mm.
out into them. Yes, even all the way into full quote out of body experience.
Hmm.
So it is the way to go out. And I think that those who are doing CE5 using the sky as the template rather than the mind, and we can use various things. I use a quartz crystal, other people use water, right? So there's
Hmm.
various ways to focus the mind on various elements while the shift in the brainwave frequencies occurs.
Hmm.
They're all the same. They have their unique characteristics, sure, but ultimately they shift you into other reality frequencies. And so, yeah, regardless of what the field is that you're using, it takes you to a similar place, meaning out beyond where we are here in the 3D Earth life. But I have a question. So, is that actually how you got started with QHHT? And how long ago was that?
See, we're multidimensional. So my nature is multidimensional, which means I'm like a radio, and inside of me is a lot of signals, and I can just tune into whatever frequency, and a frequency is a dimension.
Hmm.
So what is she talking about? I'm talking about you're made of energy and you are different frequencies are moving through you. And those interdimensionals and those kind of beings and those experiences, they're a frequency. And you can, when you really get to understand energy, your energy and other energies coming in and merging and blending and all of that stuff, you get to tweak it and understand it and engage with it. And that's how you really get to explore consciousness,
So
you
are you
know?
saying that you've always been doing this, or is there a certain point in the timeline when you began your regression work? Did it start with the CE5? Was that what got you interested, or how did it unfold for you? What were the things?
Yeah, well, it wasn't, no, QHHT was just, well, when I was very small, something was talking to me. I was having contact since I was a child, and but it's not like something came into my room. It's not like that. Well, not that I remember, and I don't need to remember that because I don't think I wanted to remember that if it was that way. But I've had um I've had contact, whether that's with my greater being, my, your higher self, your greater being, or contact with my light family or my soul family. I don't know. And I don't need to know. All I know is that it has been talking to me since I was about 6 during a traumatic event. It happened. I know exactly where it happened and when it happened. And it was a moment on my timeline that just went boom. And then that tragedy happened. And then at the same time, it was interjected by a Biba. Something called me out of the devastation. And it was like, Biba. And I'd always heard somebody calling me. And I used
Mm.
to say to my granny, "Are you calling me?" And she goes, "No." I said, "But something keeps calling my name." And then it was outside. And it's been like that for my whole life. So I've always had other information coming in that's not from here. So that's since you're very small. So I don't know any different. And I went to watch a documentary on Farsight, and they did a remote viewing session years ago on the death trap. Well, I watched that, right? And I was just horrified.
Mm.
It really like it just went in. That frequency from that session just went in and it really unsettled me. And I'm thinking, okay, so I need to learn about where am I going to go when I die and do I have a choice? I need to know that when this avatar's had its day, do I have a choice or am I going to just be whatever? So that's when I found QHHT. I had one question. Do I have a choice when I leave this body? It's all I wanted to know. And
Okay.
because of my findings in that one session, I was so blown away by it. I was like, this, what? I'd never even heard of QHHT. And I'd been listening to Dolores Cannon for years. I never put the two together. It's like amnesia or something.
So where are we in the timeline when this happens? Is this 10 years ago, more, less?
No, it's less, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Okay, and what were you doing before that? I know you're an artist.
Yeah, I am an artist. I was a yoga teacher in my 20s, teaching meditation and yoga. And then I back to live in Ireland and I got pregnant and I got into photography and art. So I'd always been working with people though, because I was a born again, or like an absolute far extremist born again Christian. So healing was a natural thing. It was like going out in the street and helping people. It was just kind of like what you do when you're in that group. And I got out of that because I got into that because of the community of people, but also I had a very close relationship with healing and understanding and knowing things about people. And when I went into this church after my divorce, I was heartbroken. I mean, I was floored after my divorce, and my baby was just born, and I needed somewhere to go. I just needed, and I found this group of people, and they would just all they talked about was healing, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I have to be on my own thinking about these things and speaking in tongues. Like I used to wake up as a child, like speaking light language. I didn't know what that was. I just thought that was weird. Like I'd wake up, right? I'd wake up because I was so loud, and I'd wake up and I'd be sitting up in the bed speaking an unknown language, and I just thought, what is that? Like, what's that? And then I kind of just go back to bed thinking, And then that would happen for years. And then when I went to the church, they were speaking it. And then this whole, spiritual revolution comes in and loads of people are speaking different languages that are kind of unknown to us. And you're like, well, what is that like? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's so
There's
curious to me.
there's something in there that's interesting to me. Were you born in Ireland?
Yes.
Okay, and then when did you leave and when did you come back? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Born here. And then when I was a baby, we went to live in London.
Okay.
And then my parents got separated when I was 6, and then I went back to Ireland. And then I had to commute between England and Ireland until I was a bit older. And then when I was 20, I went to live in London by myself. I went to be a yoga teacher. I actually went to rehab when I was 21 and got on a flight from rehab to India because it's too many drugs in Dublin at the time. It was just like the 90s. It was a lot of drugs. And I had to, I did, the only way I knew how to stop was to get out of the country. So I went and learned India, learned yoga in India, and then came back to London and just started getting into yoga. And I really got really into it. And it kind of helped me clear the clarity I had and the meditation experiences I would have and the inner journeys I would have. And it was such a great distraction from living without any substances and having to deal with my pain, right? It was a great escape.
Hmm.
Meditation's always been very easy for me because I just close my eyes and I can go somewhere.
Mm. Same here.
So I was like, yeah, get me out of here. There was too much pain from living it. I hadn't dealt with any of things that I'd gone through when I was younger. So, and then I realized years later that I was using meditation as an escape from being human. And
Mm.
so, we all get into this for our own reasons, but whatever way you get into it, it's worth it.
I have a question. Have you ever had any substance-induced experiences?
No,
Okay,
no.
so it would the use was to rather knock you out.
Party.
Yeah.
No, 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 like when I would take acid, I would take it to just have acid. I wouldn't take it to meet anybody.
You
Or
had acid
mushrooms,
and
or
never had a trip?
yeah, yeah. But
Okay, that's what
like
I
people, yeah, people do like ceremonial psilocybin or ayahuasca. No, when I stopped basically being wild, just taking drugs and alcohol,
Mm.
I and I'm not an addict. That's the funny thing. I thought I was, but I'm not. I just had to deal with my stuff. Um, no, I wouldn't take ayahuasca because my frequency is where I want it to be.
No, your substances were what they were. So you
Yeah,
took acid, and what were your trips like?
amazing.
What would happen?
I'd feel normal for the
Mm.
first time.
Hmm.
I would take a tab of LSD. This is when I was younger now, and
Hmm.
I would just feel normal, and I could take a lot of it regularly, and I wouldn't actually necessarily like. I could just go about my no. I'd go to school on it and everything. It just made me feel normal.
So there was no actual trip, no visual.
Sometimes, yeah, if you're partying because you're drinking on top of it. But for me, I would take acid sometimes going to school or going about my normal day. And it would just be like a microdose. Like now you might take a microdose and you feel like alert. You've got more access to your brain and life's just good, but you can go about your normal day. It was a bit like that. It suited me really, really well, but you can't take too much of that stuff because it's not good for you all the time.
Do you think that there were things that were happening, experiences that were occurring that you were not cognizing?
So when I used to take a lot of acid, I used to watch Communion a lot,
Hmm.
and I used to have my friends over, and they were terrified of that movie. I was like 16, I was living on my own, and they'd say, "We're going home now. You live on your own. You have to deal with thinking little blue men are going to come into your room." And I'm like, that just doesn't bother me. I was so fascinated with the idea of contact and his contact, Christopher Walken, how he in the end, how he kind of laughed with them from being terrorized to actually it just kind of camaraderie with them. That is what struck me about that movie. I was like, wow, like the movie Arrival, in the end when she has the book of the circle language and she just knows, there's a knowing, and whatever that knowing is, it just gives me life. It gives me it ignites my soul. It ignites what I am more so than just a person having an experience in life. There's just something so much more that we can't really put our finger on, but it's right there.
Hmm.
And it's fucking magic. It's magic. Isn't it? Like, not as in magic, but it's just the most beautiful thing. And it's also quite overwhelming at the same time.
And it's experiences like this that are walking you along the path to where you ultimately find the question that you're going to go deeper into yourself for. Do I have a choice of where I go when I die? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like, I mean, that's a hardcore question too. My question when I was going in during my spiritual disciplines was always simply, who am I? So it was a little less complex. What was it like for you asking a question that complex? Did you start the regressions on yourself or did you begin them on others?
I had no interest in hypnosis. I went to a hypnotherapist when I never wanted to be here. I never wanted to be here. That's why I found living very challenging. I had no interest in being here. I was happy and whatever, but inside I just had no interest in being here. This place just did not rock my boat ever for anything. And that's why taking drugs is very easy for me. Because then I just go to a place where I'm just like, thank God I'm out of my mind, literally. And in another place. But um, what was the question?
Do you recognize, I have another question. Do you recognize the expanded state that you're in when you're on acid? And can you identify that when you're regressing yourself now? Do you hit that same expanded state? Do you travel into it and beyond it?
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're going deeper now.
Yeah, you mature, you learn how to so when I've never thought about death. It never bothered me. I just thought I was happy to go. But when my daughter came, I had a fear of dying then. It was the absolute opposite.
Mhm.
So I went to a hypnotherapist who ended up just being a weird guy. So I had no hypnotherapy, I had no respect for it. I just met the wrong guy. He
Mhm.
made a really inappropriate comment after a session one day, and I just was like, no, I'm never doing this again. But the QHHT I had to go into this, and I thought I'll give this a shot. And I never thought about death. I was actually saying, yeah, because I knew that I was going to not die. I knew I was more than a body because I'd constantly be having information and communicating with some other thing that's just was talking to me audibly outside of the room, inside here, telling me what's going to happen, premonitions all the time. Um, Knowing what people are thinking, knowing what they're going to say, knowing what's going to happen, knowing the outcome. Just a lot of information for someone very young. It was just so much information. And knowing who likes you and who doesn't like you, and they're like, hi, and you're thinking, I know you don't like me because you just had that thought about me. And as I got older, I would then doubt that. I was thinking, what is that? Because no one was talking about that. They were all talking about the things that they weren't thinking and the things that they weren't saying. It was like two different worlds. There's the real person behind here, and then there's this like persona. Well, I could see what was behind the persona and I could feel it really empathically. And I had no interest. And when I was dying, I just thought, well, I just leave this place and go somewhere else. But the documentary horrified me. And I thought, wow, maybe I got that wrong. Like maybe I should be worried. And I just had one question. And so she said, okay, that's fine. So when we went into the session, it was a very unusual experience because I went right in. I just listened to her voice, totally trusted. I went right in and there was like, um, say if I got two postcards, one of Spain and one of the desert, and I tore them both in half and I put them together, like two different scenes,
Mhm.
totally different. I went into a place where there was two different scenes. And she said, well, which one are you going to pick? And I said, I'll pick the barren one. The other one looks like a very colorful place. And I said, no, the barren one. And I was this little insect being on a consciousness machine. And I'd never really kind of been that interested in anything like that. So that was really widely opened me up to different versions of what we are now, parallel worlds. But she said to me, you got your question answered because the moment you left and you went on this journey, you had a choice. So you're going to have a choice when you leave your body. And I'm like, okay. And just to safeguard myself, I have done so much work on the inside, navigating, understanding as much as I can, that when I leave this body, almost like out of PTSD, like almost out of desperation, I had to just go and track these locations and talk to different kind of things in those locations about what is this place and do you have a choice and what's there. And like I spent years doing that. And now only after my mum died am I good with that. I'm like, no, you've got it sussed. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much information you're going to have. You're not going to get the whole picture. No one in a full body does. We all have fragments of ideas. And so I'm like, okay, just stay sovereign to yourself and all of that.
Indeed. And you mentioned the most important thing of all, and that is that we are always at a choice point. That's what life experience in a duality system is.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
And you're really good at teaching that because last time I interviewed you, you have a word. I can't remember what it is, but you're like, I'm only going to speak about what is I want in my experience. I'm not going to engage in conversations that it's not going to be in an experience that I want. Like you're very aware of your choices, like more probably than anyone I know. You're acutely aware of what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
You live like that fully.
Focusing your attention is important. It's not like you can't bring in other information or listen to others speaking about what their choices have been, even though those choices are taking them along a different road, than yourself. You can. It's there, but I'm not going to focus my attention there because my attention's focused where it wants to go, what it wants to achieve.
Yeah, through your choice of focus.
Through choice, yes.
Yeah,
So I can listen to other people speak about making the choice to go into fear rather than love.
yeah,
Uh, but I won't shift my focus from my chosen focus, which is love. So that will always be used as torque or contrast to
yeah.
the one who's chosen fear. It's an
Beautiful.
interesting thing that when you choose fear, you don't really or necessarily realize you've done so.
Yeah.
But there's giveaways to it. For instance, if you're in a fight or battle, because resistance is associated with fear.
Okay. So if you are in an internal battle with yourself, you're having a civil war in there somewhere.
Mm.
There's fear in there, is what you're saying.
Fear is behind the choice.
Say if someone's pissed you off, they really just rocked your boat.
Hmm.
Okay. And you're like going around, pottering around, and in your head, you're thinking, that's just not okay. It's just not okay. How do you alchemize that?
Uh, when it is okay, I accept it.
Hmm.
I accept their sovereign right to make the choices that they're making. At the same time, I accept my sovereign choice to make those which I am. And yes, there's going to be times when uh, we come face to face with somebody's who has a focus equally as adamant as our own. And, in that, what will happen, what will happen. However, it was always my choice when it is to choose love over fear, acceptance over resistance or fight, which is fight flight. And so
Yeah.
you see, you're always dealing with your own mechanisms, whether those are body centric, energy centric, or mind centric. We're
So,
only ever engaging with ourself.
yeah, no, we are literally just engaging with different versions of ourselves continuously. Um, I just had a life between life session and I've never had a life between life session. It was amazing. And
Mm,
this kind of being, this huge big light beam, it wasn't a being, it was a beam. It came down and was talking to me. And then we blended and then it started talking. And it was like everybody is you, like really is you. And they're an aspect of you. So if you treat them really kindly, so much kindness will come back to you from others that are you. It's just you talking to you, you fighting with you. And if you really want to experience kindness and softness and love coming to you, keep giving it, just keep giving it. And that's how the flow happens. Because people are like, oh, why does nobody like me? Or am I not? Well, because it's stuck.
Mm. For,
Yeah,
yeah, for could be for many reasons, right? And or even that thought itself, should be come down on right away. Uh,
yeah.
the sentence is nobody really likes me. Well, the first thing you have to ask is that true? Right? Let's go into the Byron Katie method. She's fantastic. So she has the 4 or 5 questions. I can't remember how many. And the first one always is she makes you say the sentence. And the first question is it true? She's brilliant in the way she does this. Yeah, and she'll just keep diving into that. Is it true? Is it true? And the person keeps talking. Is it true? Is it true? Till they get to where they can see it. The sentence wasn't even true to begin with.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
chose to think that, you see. You're back to choice.
Yes. It,
Yeah.
yes. Where is the statement that you're making coming from? Is it coming from insecurity? Insecurity and things like this always come from fear.
But also, when you level up to what you are and your capabilities as a human expression, like what you have done and you continue to do, there's no one to blame anymore. There's nobody to give out about. There's no pointing fingers. It's just you.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't like that blankie being taken away. It's like, no. Do you know what he did? It's like, what did he do? And on it goes. And on it goes.
Yes.
I'm learning.
Once that's realized, then you can go further in consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, further into the life experience that you had designed for yourself initially here.
Yeah, exactly.
And the further we go into that, the more of our consciousness comes into the body.
Hmm.
And at a certain point, that begins expanding us, quote, out of body.
Yeah, beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Until it
really,
does so in a way that, we eventually are not visible here in this frequency bandwidth anymore. And we find ourselves in another.
and we will, and we all will one day.
Hmm.
And we just
Yes.
don't know that
Mhm.
day. So why not start now? Everything, my awareness is always on what you just said. Does the life I'm living right here and now and the choices that I make are all about when I leave my body? Therefore, when I have a nice life, I go out of my way to have a nice life, as in like what I would consider nice, not too stressful, not too dramatic, just kind of it's quiet,
Mm.
quiet, easy enough. And when problems arise, I pay attention to my nervous system and think, no, that's not going down the rabbit hole with that. This isn't this isn't like the apocalypse. It's just a issue that's popped up today. So why not have to have the apocalypse, in your mind? And then I think, I'm not going back. I'm only, and the no back and no forward, but I'm not going to where I was yesterday. I'm just going to either stay where I am or keep moving forward in consciousness because, well, to me, that's just the most valuable thing.
There is nothing else. And that is always what we're doing, whether we're doing it beneficially or unbeneficially, if we're doing it skillfully or unskillfully. If
Yeah, we're
we're flapping around like fishing on land or if
absolutely right.
with the
That's
dolphins. Yeah. Um, yeah. Most of the time, I notice when I started going out, this is funny. And just to tie it into out of body experience. I noticed in the first year that I started going out that I would have these two types of experiences. One where I was sort of on my own and, coming across these ridiculously comical situations in which I kept pushing and failing in the experience. And the other, which, was like when I was accompanied
mhm,
and when I was accompanied, when my higher being was there rather doing the driving, everything, went real smoothly. I went really far out, all this other kind of stuff. The OBE was easy, it was effortless. I could just go for the ride and observe. And life is like that too. We can either, focus the attention, get to that still point, allow what is behind us to come into our experience and ride the wave of that, or we can leave it behind and focus fully to the front and flap about and fall down and get hurt and go through all of this. And for a period of time, we're meant to. We're meant to do that so that we can come back into the awareness that there is something behind us and to again begin to let that back into our life experience. And it's a process.
Yeah.
And that process inevitably takes us into where we're growing ourselves out into expanded states of consciousness, fully into other reality frequencies, such as in the OBE, or astral projection, or shamanic traveling, or regression therapy. And there's so many ways, right?
Yeah, you just got to find the one that resonates most, I think, because I years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I was listening to a guy called Ian Clayton, and he was teaching by location. And so you're physically seen in another location. You're not astrally there. You're like someone saw you there.
Mm,
Like you're physically leaving Dublin and you're arriving in Las Vegas and you're sitting beside Casey in Las Vegas. And
hmm
I was doing this and this practice and I was practicing and practicing and oh man, I was putting everything into it and I was kind of stuck on getting this kind of seeing if I could actually pull this off, if I could do it. But I think I was going at it from the wrong angle because I was trying too hard and I was putting too much emphasis on it. And that was taking up the energy that was needed to actually just be in an energy and then allow just whatever happens to happen. It like more organic, right? I was just like getting frustrated that I just couldn't do this. I was like, if someone else can do it, that means I can do it too. And it was a couple of years of every day and then I just kind of found my groove and what works for me. And um yeah, I mean, there are many, many ways. Uh and there are many ways to avoid it as well. Addiction is a great one for avoiding consciousness exploration, and
mm,
being stuck in fear. Unfortunately, there's a kind of a pandemic of addiction, and especially mobile phones is the new one. And I think kind of all just a phone, and it just it's just too easy to take you out of your awareness. I see it with myself. I've just started a 6 month um it's just 6 months of kind of a silent retreat. And here I am talking to you, but this was booked in prior to the idea of this silent retreat. Just not really engaging, just spending more time not engaging and just allowing, because it's time to go deeper. And as you were talking, I was aware of my own life and how we can put all the work in and we can do a lot of practice. But I personally believe and I feel, and I've seen it in all the sessions I've had with clients, there's an activation time. Um, Happened with me too. I think there are times on our timeline when there are activation points, and you can miss those and just go about your everyday normal life. But actually, I think the soul, your essence, there are points on your timeline where you can be activated into the blueprint of what you are, into your soul, your essence. It's like there's not even any words for it. And then they can happen continuously. The more your intention is to explore consciousness, the more of those activations you actually can come into. And also, another point would be it's not for the faint-hearted, because it's a really challenging journey, and it tears your reality apart into tearing up a piece of paper. Everything just kind of shreds all your beliefs, all your understanding of yourself, and it's constantly just being dismantled and dismantled and dismantled until you come to the point where you just don't need a structure anymore. What's the point in having a structure? Because it's just going to be dismantled. So, and that is so liberating, but that's a lot. It's a lot to go through, and it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't, it takes time. As you said, it's a process.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I started mine a long time ago. I'm very grateful for that, that this life I've had the impetus to do that.
Yeah, I call that living in wonder. So a lot
Mm.
of people are always out there seeking the answers to questions. And I'm like, that's wonderful, but live in the wonder of it
Yeah,
and live in the
yeah.
question. Yeah, just wide-eyedly wonder what you do, but live in that wonder. Don't seek the answer. Just live in the wonder. It's magical. It
Oh,
will give
yeah,
you a magical life. It's
yeah,
wondrous to live in wonder. Yeah,
yeah,
to have a question, to not know,
yeah,
and if you can get to that, yeah, I'm getting chills. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, if you can just live in that, life will take you exactly where you want it to, you know. You'll get everything that you want out of it. You had
And
mentioned
you,
something previously that I would love to dive into a little bit more, and with the man who was teaching to bilocate
mm,
physically here
mm,
on the planet.
mm,
And I myself don't know that this is possible. This might be possible if you have a soul group who has agreed to do this together. But otherwise, I would say it's not. Otherwise, I could bilocate and go somewhere and do something untoward. Yes, it's not really allowed. When I shift out of body, when I shift through that etheric frequency bandwidth where it looks like I'm still here in my room, still walking through the house, out the door, into my neighborhood, it still looks just like it does here in the 3D physical frequency. It's not. I'm in the etheric frequency bandwidth of the 3D earth life reality. They're not the same place.
when do you realize that they're not the same place? How do you know then it's different?
Because I may be able to see people who are actually in the 3D field, but they cannot see me.
Wow. They
So,
can't see you. That's how you know when you're like, they don't see me. So this looks like
and it's
everything.
not just that. Every frequency, just like a radio dial. I mean, turn it a nano-nth, and you're
Mhm,
not on the same channel as before.
mhm,
Okay, if when I went out of body, I was still in the 3D Earth life frequency, I wouldn't be out of body.
mhm.
So no, I don't think that that's possible, and are allowed, and for many reasons that have to do with free will and the rule set of 3D Earth life reality. However, could I project an image somewhere that wasn't capable of, say, picking up something?
Mhm.
Maybe, maybe.
So who's setting the rules then?
Whoever created the ride,
Interesting. So
set its
yeah,
parameters and set
okay.
its parameters for highest success.
Okay, so you're saying someone set the parameters.
Yes, the 3D Earth Life ride was created.
Yeah, okay, by
Creator
who?
being who created it.
Right. So what are you doing here?
Forgetting who I am and relearning
Why are you doing that?
for
What's the
fun,
purpose? For fun? Are you having fun?
for fun. Now, when you're saying that, I hear you addressing my seed consciousness and not this Casey persona.
Yeah,
Casey didn't come here. Casey's an illusion.
I like the illusion. I like the illusion.
She's given consciousness from what's behind her. And as much as she'll allow into her, she can begin to have a consciousness of her own. As this happens, this begins expanding her out from here. Yes, on a journey back in toward source, through galactic
So
space, through the higher Ds. Yeah.
so let's just go back. This is something I think that you'd be quite good at answering. So this construct, this 3D construct or any kind of construct on any dimension is
Mhm.
created by a creator being of that. world. So what are you outside of that then?
What am I outside of what? The 3D airspace?
Yeah, you're saying you came here. Where were you before you came here? Were you inside that construct or were you outside of it? Where are you from?
Which construct? There's
So you said there are rules we're not allowed bilocate. Let's just say that's your
okay, the
understanding.
rules here. You mean
Yeah,
this construct, the 3D Earth life.
I'm talking about the astral planes also being a construct and created.
Everything visual is virtual, a construct, a
Yeah.
creation.
But so is everything in
Construct,
the astral.
construct is just another word for creation.
So this 3D world and then the astral travelers are going through another construct. They're going through another arena.
Possibly.
So what's beyond that is what I'm interested in.
The OBEers certainly are.
Yeah.
But the astral projectors, meaning the ones that are going into the spiritual side of life, into the life between life area, the interstitials, which is the greatest part of the dimensional existence, is that the manifest realms are much smaller. So they're not. They're going to where we go when we quote die. Yeah. Whereas OBEers, they're literally with their consciousness shifting reality frequencies in an embodied state. So they're staying in the manifest areas. They're not going into the life between life areas.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. So
Okay.
this nothing to do with life and moving life between lives. I'm talking about here I am in a body and I'm on the earth.
Hmm.
Real simple to understand. Then I
Okay.
leave my body and I'm in an astral world. I'm in an ethereal space.
Okay. Now, are you in the life between life area of the astral, or are
No,
you
like I
in,
wake up, like last night, let's say.
yeah.
Forget about life between lives. I'm talking about soul, your soul traveling, your essence traveling through consciousness.
Okay, so we're touching, there's a lot of independent ideas in here that it would be important to touch on for full understanding.
Yeah. But
There's
I just want to get on the same page as you first. So I want to make sure me and you are on the same page because I have a question for you.
okay. However, you're speaking of a manifest realm, and then when you're talking, so there, when the astral, there's astral proper, and then there's the manifest area of the astral.
Okay, so what's the
This is
difference?
galactic space. This is ETs on other planets. This is
Yeah,
not where you're able to not have a body. Okay, that's the life between life area of the astral.
right.
Okay.
Okay. The pennies dropped. So the VPs and other dimensions and out there. And but then there's also the planes where your soul travels, where you go. Where all the places that I've gone to they're not inhabited by uh entities in bodies.
Okay, so that would equal life between life.
Why do you say
You're
that?
you're free. You're not manifest.
So here's my question, because I don't think, see, this is something I don't ever discuss with anyone because no one even seems to know the answers, because I don't think
Mhm.
we're meant to know all the answers, or we just can't seem to get our minds around it. But because we're going far out now, and I don't know if that's your intention, but the question is this. I am a human in the earth having that experience, but I'm also consciousness and I'm living in different spaces. I'm abiding in different spaces. And what I've come to understand is as much as this realm is has been created, let's say, this
Mhm.
realm has got it's been created, so has that. So I'm interested in nothing is what it seems ever, ever. Nothing is what it seems. You may look at that and then you look at it another way, and the more perspectives you have, the more wider of an understanding you have it. So if I was to go into all these realms and all these people in NDEs, and I might be to a lot of those places, I never had an NDE. And the repetition of the stories and the Bob Monroes and the Darius and it's all so similar. I'm like, who created that? because there's more beyond that. That's just one circle, one orb of a place, as much as this realm is an orb. There's
Mhm.
way more than that.
Oh, sure. Our three-dimensional conscious mind, the construct that we're, or the template or kaleidoscopic pattern is how I see it, that we're experiencing ourselves through here now.
Yeah.
It- well, I was going to go somewhere with that, but I kind of
Good.
changed my mind mid-sentence because it does get complex.
Very
Okay.
complex.
But it's simpler if you realize that every dimension has a manifest and unmanifest area to it.
So what's the unmanifest? Give me an example of the unmanifest.
Okay, so an example, so right here in the 3D Earth life, right here, right now, engaging with you, I'm in the manifest area. However, I can allow my brainwave frequencies to shift into
Mhm.
other brainwave frequency patterns. Yes.
So can I.
And I can see data in there. And now I'm not in the manifest area. I
Right.
am and I'm not. But my focal point is not.
Yes.
Okay. And I can go places with that focal point. It's
Yeah.
completely unbound.
Right.
Okay. Same thing with the astral. Astral proper is galactic space. This is again what we might call extraterrestrial beings on other planets, on craft and space, however they're doing their thing. Yeah. But that's not the astral most people are talking about. Okay, they're talking about the unmanifest area where they're unbound by a body
Exactly.
and a rule set.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So they're unbound. And that's where most people are going when they're astral projecting. See, this is how you can distinguish astral projection, if you care to, from an out of body experience. However, people who astral project can manifest. Okay, they can go into the manifest area. It's just that I've heard of very few who do. Yeah.
Amazing stuff, isn't it? Learning and knowing and exploring and not knowing. And as you said, the wonder of it all, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
just being riveted at it, asking a question and,
mhm.
receiving as much as you can of that with the what we've been given, to
Yeah.
work with in terms of our personas. So, yeah. Do you remember what your question was?
Did I have a question?
Yeah, you had a little guy and he was manifest and then you were going to go somewhere with it. I just wanted you to know that in the astral, there's a manifest and unmanifest area to it.
I don't see your experience is different to mine. I don't use the same terminology as you. I use the universe. So I'm what I am is having an experience in this universe. And before I came into this universe, I didn't need a container. And the soul, when you come into this universe, you get a container, which is the soul. And the soul collects all the experiences as you go through the spectrum of light and dark in this universe. So, but there's what I am is prior to this universe.
And now, see, this would be a distinguishing factor in how we look at the soul. The soul is completely unbound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it doesn't have a container.
No, but the soul, it's like, well, I think it's because of the work that I do and how it works, how the soul works, and how when you move people, and it's just been my experience of witnessing.
Mhm.
But I know this, the soul is like your essence. People, there's different, it's like love can mean different things to different people. God can mean different things to different people. The soul can mean different. We're not all coming from the same vantage point, right?
You can use it in different ways, yes. And the way
But
that I would generally use that term is seed consciousness. It's unbound.
the
However, it
consciousness,
fractals
yeah,
within itself to create these little personas we see here. Yeah,
exactly.
that it sends out into the manifest realms.
Listen, this is really interesting because when I did a life between life session and I left my last life to come to wherever I was before I came into this one, I went to this place and there was these beings. They were beautiful aquamarine kind of they looked like caterpillars or something, huge, giant. I don't know how to even explain it. But what we did was when I arrived, there was a greeting, and then we merged into this one big orb. And we merged. Now, I'd never done a life between lives, so I didn't know what to expect, and I just went with it. And we merged into this big orb, and this big orb was just one. Then there was one of us, but there was like lots of us before. Now there's one, and then we traveled through this kind of photonic light horizon to go to the place where you go before you go anywhere else. But after the session, she said, "That's all your soul fragments coming together. I'm coming back to one." That's your soul family. That's you. That's the parts of you that were having other experiences, blending back together to go to the next experience. I mean, it just is, it just goes on and on. You can never be bored, ever. You can only be in awe, in wonder. And one question then has another question and another question. And it's like, wow.
And when you're asking them and you're living your life in a way that opens you to the answers,
Yeah.
to any degree at all, life is magical.
Yeah.
When we're not doing that, yes, that's the thing that people don't like. That's the thing that people are trying to fight against. That's the thing that some people, a lot of people are saying someone else is doing to them. No,
I know. No, it's not the way it is.
no. You can engage that, but you will be in a false matrix within the actual matrix we're in, which is the real 3D Earth life, base 3D Earth life. Yeah. But you'll have tainted it, you'll have painted it with colors, risen of fear and frustration and anxiety and all of this. And it makes the world seem very different, doesn't it?
It sure does.
And so attention has to always reel back in on oneself.
If,
The attention keeps getting cast out, then you never get to see yourself because you
no.
keep thinking what's out there is something other than you, where it's not. It's a mirror.
No, see, we in a way, I had an experience when I was young. I might have had them before, but that the particular, it was like it was like an awakening when I was 6. I kind of woke up to the fact that nobody is anything, and then I was aware of shapeshifters as well because I've seen shapeshifters my whole life. So I'm aware that nothing is what it seems, and here's one of the very good things though. When you're off your soul's path or when you're just off kilter and you're stuck in a resentment and you might have gotten raped or you might have gotten beaten or you might have been left out of a will or it might have been something small. Your boyfriend had an affair, like an injustice.
Mm.
Could be a big one, could be a small one. But that injustice is a hook that's going to hook into this 3D and everything that is in resonance to that hook, which is the injust, this was done to me. When that hook goes out into this realm, it just attracts so much more of itself. So when I have like this happened to me and this was an injustice, life's going to keep presenting me more injustices and more. It's like a windstorm here. It feels like the wind. I hope it's not too loud. But so when you release the hook, and it's like, yeah, but that means that they get off the hook. No, you get off the hook because
You,
you, at what cost are you going to have your hook in the injustices to you? And they're not even aware that they may have, and if it's in your reality that you created your own experiences before you decided to come here to kind of come home to yourself. And some people will never get that because they're just so angry and because of we eat animals or I don't know human rights or I mean there's an endless amount of things we can all be for or against. However, I've learned, and I learned this through COVID actually, which was such an amazing teacher,
mm,
not to have an opinion. not to have an opinion on anything. And if I have an opinion, I don't share it because then there's an opposition, and in the opposition comes the trials and tribulations. So I was forever fighting causes. I was a vegan, I was a this, I was a that, I was a Christian, I was a all these things. I was trying to save kids that were human trafficking and sex industries years ago. And I was just so angry with men. There was these kids in the Philippines, and I was working with a team that would go in and rescue them. And the information was just way too much for me, especially as an empath. It just ate me up. And I was so angry at men that what did that, I was projecting out this reality that I involved myself in. And there's nothing wrong with helping anybody. That's not what I'm saying. But the world presented me with a bunch of monsters. There was just monsters everywhere. All I could see was monsters. And I thought, I just don't want to be here. And I was like, you can't say that. You have a kid now. So you need to get your head out of that game of helping people and just focus on being a mom. And I had to, I had to pull all of everything that I was for or against. And I learned during COVID, I'm not for vaccines or against vaccines. I don't have an opinion on it actually. And then you go into ground zero. You
Mhm.
go into the eye of the storm. And then you just, oh my gosh, it's just so much better. It's just so much better.
However, you can't stay there, not in life, because in life we're at a choice point.
Yeah.
So, so we have to know our own stance, but that stance can rise out of an awareness of just simply who we are. So when it came to all of that with the recent global virus, I won't say the word.
You can edit that out. But yeah,
I I knew my stance because I could recognize who I am. I'm a naturopathic minded person.
yeah,
I'm not somebody who has allopathic healthcare. I don't do that system. Now, this doesn't make me for or against anything per se, in that others get to have their awareness of who they are and walk their own path, regardless of what that is. I don't resist that. I accept that.
exactly.
They're sovereign, they get to make that choice. I'm sovereign and I get to make this choice for me. And I get to work to be who I am to the best of my ability, which meant not engaging in all of that.
Yeah.
Was
It's private.
associated with
Choices
that
are private.
program, right? And so, yes, we have to know who we are so that we can see where we stand.
That's very, very, very important.
Yeah.
And then you get to know what works for you and what doesn't. Discernment just becomes a natural ability. The ability to discern is instant. It's
Hmm.
like, that's okay, I'm all right, or that, but I've learned not to vocalize my choices.
Yes, politics and religion, right?
Anything to do with the world is just a little bit like touchy, it's become a little bit PC. So and then I just was like, wow, it's so nice to just live in the moment and in the wonder and not be part of having to be understood or heard or express myself or proven right or proven wrong or, oh, here, game over. Come on. What
Hmm.
else are we doing? Like, did I really come into this matrix to chase my own tail forever? No, no.
No, but to rediscover who we are and how we got here, like you said, where were you before you got here? It's the perfect sign and symptom that lets us know that we're dreaming, that breaking continuity, right? When we're
Yeah,
dreaming, we often go from one place to another and they don't seem to connect, like there wasn't a pathway.
that's right.
I'll be at the mall and then all of a sudden I'm washing my car and there was no in between, right? And so, like, how did that break in continuity lets us know that we're dreaming? And that's what it exists right here. The largest break in continuity we could possibly imagine, right in front of our faces every day. We have no idea who we are. We don't know how we got here, you know? And this is how we start to realize that uh, reality and dream can be used synonymously, right? We consider this 3D Earth life reality. However, the fact that we don't know who we are or who we got here lets us know that we're dreaming, right? It's also a dream. Now, if this is a dream, we must not be the dreamer. So who is, right? And we start asking the right questions.
They're really good
And
questions.
those questions begin expanding us out.
And
Yeah.
out you go. It's just the best. It's just and then I find that the more you engage and the more you inquire and the more you explore consciousness, the more experiences you have. And then when you have an experience, that's very encouraging. And you're like, oh, and then you can kind of stepping stone from one experience to the other to the other. It's like it's when you have an experience, an experiential thing is very different to reading it in a book or listening to it on a conversation. So if someone said, well, I had this experience and this happened, well, that was experiential for you. But for the person listening, that's not, that's in their mind. They like that to happen, but they've no real concept of how that happens. When you're hit with an experience, everything changes.
Mhm,
Everything.
mhm.
It has to, because it's a whole experience.
And there's a whole lot of processing that has to happen.
Yeah, then you deconstruct and you reconstruct, and then you deconstruct and you reconstruct, and on it goes. And like I just went through an extraordinary year. I'm not going to get into it, but it was an extraordinarily dark year, and it was mesmerizingly beneficial to me.
Yeah.
I chose to be in it, go through it, experience it, really experience it, don't run from it, settle into it, become it. And then what is this really about? And I know myself. I have access to a part of me that I didn't have access to before.
Mhm.
I know myself in a different way. And it's wonderful. There's just something wonderful about that.
What was the mechanism that allowed it? Can you identify it?
What you mean, the darkness?
Yeah, what was the mechanism that gave you access to the more?
Well, my folks died last year. So I was shot out into a black hole, a no man's land, and I got lost. And I thought, how can I get lost? I know consciousness, like I've been, and consciousness had nothing to do with this. This was a pain. This was physical, mental, soul pain. And I thought, just sit with it. Just keep sitting with it. Get to know it. Become friends with this pain. Like, get to know it. Do not avoid it. Put everything off for 6 months and you're going to sit in this pain. And
You
I sat
faced the
there.
pain. That was the mechanism.
I became the pain. I actually embodied it until I understood it. And then I thought, it's not as scary as I thought it was. Actually, it's
Yeah.
fine. Is it nice? No, it's not nice. There's nothing nice about it, but there's a power in that. There's a reconstruction in this. And I'm like, let's go. I'm ready.
Well, you're no longer afraid.
No.
When you do that, it breaks down your fear.
Yeah.
And right behind that will be the choice to let this continue in love or in fear. And, the choice is clear. If you've gotten through it, you've gotten back into, I choose love.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think once you set down pain, it's just there.
Yeah. Yeah. Take the importance of everything in this reality, like nothing's that important. Just remove the importance because the importance keeps the emotional hooks. Remove the importance of your parents dying just for a moment. Remove that.
Hmm.
Not nothing. Your life here, what you're doing is not important. Your health, importance. Take all the importance off. Strip it back. What is this? This is terrifying. Okay, why is it terrifying? Because it's so unfamiliar to me. It's so unknown. And I just kept peeling it back and peeling it back until I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on now. Amazing.
It truly is.
Hmm. It's amazing. It's amazing that we can, um, and I know, having those experiences and getting to know myself gave me the strength and gave me it helped me be there because I can sit with stuff. You're sitting, you're just there. You I just I didn't think it was beneficial, but after about a year, I was like, no, the only reason you got to be in that the way you were is because of your ability to meditate and know yourself and sit. And I'm not saying I'm a great meditator or anything, but I have a practice. I'm disciplined. And when this hit me, there was no meditation. Meditation was like, whoa, way too painful to sit, painful. Then I had to say, you don't need to close your eyes, just sit, just be there. You don't have to go in because there's a lot of information in there, as you
You're
know.
going into yourself. You're going into your body. You're going into what your body's processing.
No thanks.
You're not leaving you're not leaving your body out of the equation anymore.
Mm,
That's what a lot of us start doing. We start desensitizing ourselves to the body because it's with the body that comes pain. With the body that comes fear, right?
yeah,
No body, no fear. No fear, no pain.
it's just exactly. It's such a good to be a student of this life. I absolutely love it. I
Mm.
just love it, you know. Um, this is Moonstone here.
Let's see, Moonstone. Sweet girl. Is he a
He's
girl or boy?
he's a real cat. He eats
Angle your
cat food.
camera down a little bit.
He's that's Moonstone. Hi, Moonstone. He's lovely.
He is.
He's a lovely little creature.
Not too far, not too far. There you go.
Yeah, don't go too far back. It's very bright in here.
It is. We have some bright rooms.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy that's over. And you know, when I was listening to your interviews and your conversations, your new ones, I just thought, it's so nice to hear you talk and the people that you interview and just very, it's just the way forward for me. You know what I mean? I look at the internet now and I think, Jeannie, man, the copy and pasting has gone on for quite a long time now of the same people and the same topics and the same conversations. And you're just like, you know, we need to move on again. The next phase of development is here for our evolution. And when I tune into your channel and when I tune into you, you're right on it. You're right on it. And that excites me. I love to be challenged. I just don't want to be stuck, you know? And it's not like I'm impatient. I'll sit with anything. And I have just sat with something difficult, but there's also it's just how many times do I need to know like the same thing? I woke up one day about 2 years ago, right? And I felt guilty for thinking this, but I thought like people go on the same places for holidays. We work doing the same thing, have the same conversations, order the same thing. Like, surely that is not why I'm here.
Yeah.
The Groundhog Dayness of it was just unbelievable. And it really hit me one morning, and I thought, I'm very grateful for my life, but is this it? Is this like, and I thought, no, you need to really go into another aspect of yourself. Something is, and then that kind of darkness came, and then that I was like, oh yeah, now things have really mixed up, and now I don't think like that anymore. Because
Mhm.
you can go into your comfort zone as well, and so it's the sameness.
You can go into rote memory, right? And so
Yeah,
rather than be present, truly present, which requires you coming into a still moment and still mind, then everything is ever new, even though the same things might be happening. The
yeah,
presence in that moment is not.
no,
It's engaging with it full on. Most of the time, we again rote memory. We get up, we're not really paying attention to what we're doing. We know in the back of our mind we got to get to work. We better eat before we get there, but we're not even paying any attention. We're not coming into any presence.
yeah,
However, if we take the time to come into presence before we do that, then everything's brand new
everything.
again and again and again and again and again. There is no mundaneness in there. There is no boredom. If you're bored, you're not present. So
Exactly.
come back into your presence. Take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, feel the breath flow through the body. Put your attention at the brow, sit at the top of the ship,
Exactly.
And then when you can feel what that is that's behind you, and even let that in a bit, let that level of presence in on your experience here.
Yeah.
then again, it starts being new because it's new to that level of presence. We're cutting it off at our back body most of the time.
Yeah,
And
we
so
are.
letting it in, then that level of presence again observes and experiences, and you get to experience that through your mind energy body system. It's extraordinary. And it's wondering what it is. It's having the wonderful time that it is because this is new to it, uh,
Yeah,
you know.
I do.
So let that be the goal, not necessarily to change what it is we're doing out in the field, but to let more of ourselves in to ourselves right here, right now, and let that kind of move us into what it does, into some bit of difference that makes a difference to us.
Yeah, invite it in. So if you don't know how to do that, you invite it in. Invite it in. Like for me, I didn't understand why I was feeling that. And then I thought, no, you have to invite in more expansion, more awareness, like invite it in. Ask, say to the universe, say, let's keep moving. Let's
Hmm.
go deeper. Let's move. Let's move somewhere else. And then an experience will happen that moves you into a deeper place. And I'm thinking, I didn't ask for this. No, you did. Actually, just not how you thought it was going to be.
You might not have asked for it, but you allowed it, by
Yeah.
allowing that level of presence in, and that was your choice to do just
Yeah.
that. We're always at a choice point. That is such an important thing to say and to emphasize. We are always at a choice point. And the very first choice point we're always at is the choice of whether we're going to see, feel, and experience through love or fear.
Yeah.
It's always the first one. You're choosing your template, your basic template. And then with love, comes surrender, acceptance, not to any other, to yourself. You surrender to deeper levels of your own being.
Yeah.
And living your life like that again leads to a magical life. It has for me.
Yeah. Same. I would
A
say this.
magical, extraordinary things happen. I mean, just unheard of, extraordinary, sometimes comically ridiculous, but extraordinary. I like to laugh, so that's always good for me.
Mm, I love it. That's great.
Yeah, and it's not like I never chose fear and experienced that way. Of course I have. It's how I know there's a choice, you know.
Yeah.
And it's the constant, choosing among the two that allows us to eventually get good at leaning toward one over the other and noticing more rapidly when we're in fear. So, we don't often, we almost never realize we're in fear when we're in fear.
No, and then you got to pedal back and get out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Pedal back.
remember when I was young, uh, just something was coming to me right there, so I'll mention it. I was raised in the 60s where it was important to be not just thin, but extra thin. Twiggy and models like this were coming onto the scene. And I was a larger person. I was not twiggy like most other girls. And at a certain point, and my father put me on my first diet when I was 6.
Mm,
Like so, uh,
yeah.
I have this in my background, but at a certain point, as I'm coming into my teens, I realize I'm not going to be afraid of this body. I'm not going to be afraid of fat. I'm just going to accept it. I was not fat. I considered myself fat because I was being put on diets, but I wasn't even fat. I had an Amazon body with the larger arms and legs, not twiggy like most girls. Little girls have little twiggy arms and legs, and that just wasn't me. But yeah, I said I wasn't going to be afraid of this anymore. I'm not going to fight this.
Wow.
And in that, I exercised. I still was body aware. I just wasn't afraid of it anymore.
Amazing.
And I realized at a certain point, I needed to keep extra weight on my body. I just always did. It made me feel safer. I didn't
Wow.
want to be small and not strong. I wanted to be, ample sized and looking like I could protect myself. I mean, I was raised in the 1960s in Las Vegas. I mean, you had to have my father was a judge, for goodness
Really?
sakes. I mean, yeah, so like everybody always wanted to beat us up.
Wow.
So you had to at least look like you could protect yourself, you know? And
Right.
that's kind of how it started, happening. And then I realized that there is a happiness in it as well. There's a reason for the fat laughing Buddha, you know, and you can connect with a lot of ideas behind and every time except our modern local time, it was advantageous and idolized even to be fatter. That meant you could afford to eat.
Right, exactly.
So yes, and so like there's a lot of associations in
Yeah.
with it, like that you can see that you're trying to exemplify here in this life, and not just fit into what the current thought is, about all of that. Anyway.
Yeah, but you can extend that out into films and music and the information that we are in all the time, the information fields and what we're taking in and the narratives, and some are great and some are not so great, and some are hijacking your own consciousness by implanting a different narrative and programs, and the work that I do is to spot the program and come back to your natural organic state. And uh so you can learn to find your own way. So you learn to actually really know why you didn't need to be like Twiggy, or like you became okay with just being you. And it's very important to be okay with who you are in this world and to know yourself, and the decisions that you make are because of your own discernment, and not because your mum said or your granny said, or um no, you made that choice. And then that's very empowering, because then you can't say, but why did you get me to do that? Look what happened. It comes back to, as you said, everything is a choice. So you chose very wisely how to look at the world when that started coming in. And I look at people now and, well, my boyfriend said to me this or this, and I saw this movie, and especially the ET narrative on the telly and on the movies, it's really trying to hijack the roadmap of your own awareness and contact, I think, because we're kind of being trained to think about it a certain way or to feel about it a certain way. So manipulate it through your feelings. And I know people don't want to hear this, but kind of that's what's happening in my reality. That's what's happening. And I'm like, well, I'll just kind of have my own opinion on that.
Yeah, or we could rewrite that sentence.
Yeah, let's rewrite it.
Like it would be I would find it unbeneficial to myself to make the statement that somebody was trying to do something to me, such as manipulate my mind.
Okay.
So I'm going to write that sentence differently. I'm going to say I'm being invited to turn that off. I'm being invited to recognize that for what it is and decline.
That's really good.
So rather than continue to watch commercials or, mainstream telly or, the local news, I never did any of that, never read the paper. I mean, you can tell as soon as you pick it up that it's not, kosher.
Yeah, but like
It's
stay
something
on the
that
UFO trail. Like look at since the 40s what's coming out and what's not coming out, and how, like, yeah, I'm invited then to figure that out for myself.
to sit in yourself, to sit in your own felt presence and go in for your own
Yeah.
direct experience.
Yeah.
Yes, the world doesn't need disclosure, and the way that they're thinking about it, meaning from governments and things like that. That's not real disclosure. There's only one way you can find an answer, and you can find it in any moment, and no one can cut you off from it unless you say they can.
Yeah.
So, sit, come into your own, stop casting your attention out there, bring it here, as a practice, as a discipline, for a period of time every day,
Yeah.
so that you can begin to contrast that with something and realize you're making a choice. That is not all there is.
No.
In fact, what's out there is tiny compared to what's in here. This is
Yeah.
this is your access to all that is.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's your access to very little.
Yeah, it's limited, let's say.
Yes. And again, we're in a duality system. And so, yes, the light and the dark, the positive, the negative, will be a part of that play.
Yeah.
And to fight it is silly. It's what this ride
Absolutely.
is.
It's what it is.
It's just what it is.
It's what it is. And people go, no, but I'm going to manifest happiness. Well, good luck.
I mean,
I
no,
manifest.
they think it's something to fight.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
No, it's just what it is. It's like fighting
Yeah,
the fact that I'm a girl. Why,
exactly.
it's just what I am, you know.
Exactly.
Here, why would I
No,
fight that?
but here's what creates that is the preference. If you have a preference,
Hmm.
if I have a preference to always feel good, then when I wake up not feeling good, I'm going to have a really bad day because it's not my preference.
Yeah,
So through last year, I've learned to drop all preference of wanting to feel good or have a better life or have this or have that or do this or do that. Just it is just what it is.
to egoically self-construct a preference, absolutely. However, we are someone. We were
Hmm.
designed to be this someone, and it will have focuses, and those focuses are present preferences. For instance,
Yeah.
when I would meditate, it was always my preference to go into shavasana rather than siddhasana, to lay down rather than to sit upright.
That's different. You're changing now course
Well,
here.
no, it's a preference. I
No,
just,
I'm talking about suffering and not suffering. I'm not talking about suffering sitting up or not suffering lying down. I mean, like, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to have this experience. And it's
yeah,
like, well,
that's a
hold on.
different
That,
preference. Yeah.
yes, it is. It's like life is going to throw us challenges all the time, and they're coming to us, maybe from us, who knows, but they're there. And how do you ride the storm and ride it well and not get sunk down all the time or defeated, two step forwards, one step back, or whatever that saying is? For me, it's just not to always want to be doing better or
Yeah, I
um
get you.
as a meditator to create another reality. I've been trying to do that and have been doing that for years, but now I'm just like, I don't need to create another reality. This reality's full of things that I can work with and look at. And right now, this reality is, why don't you just be here now in this reality? Just check it out. Stop trying to escape it and change it.
And whatever it is that's taking place, absolutely.
Yeah, like really embody like what's going on here. Like be very present with everything in my life, who I am, who's in my life, the conversations we're having, the people that are attracted towards me, the people I'm attracted to, how we're engaging, the energy exchanges, how I engage with reality, how much do I need to meditate and what's happening in those meditations. Like this present moment is packed with inquiry.
Yeah, that's why I say if you come into your presence, you'll never be bored. But
No.
it's that most of us aren't. We're we're coming out of our felt presence and going into, again, rote memory. We're just, what's the saying? Uh, I can't think of the saying.
You're tuning into me telepathically now to try and find it for you.
I am. I'm even doing this to try to whirl your mind around.
I'm not looking. I don't want to be hypnotized. I want to stay present. But um, we live in this world, and this world is designed to distract you. It's actually designed, it's so full of distractions and pleasures and pains and things to do and things to learn and not learn and to become like it's an incredible circus of entertainment and full of distractions. So you're meditating and you think, oh, I should share that with so and so, but I just saw that video, or is that experience because I saw that movie last night? It's just so many distractions to keep you out of the present moment in your awareness. So when you kind of limit all the distractions or become aware of how many distractions there are in an hour, let alone a day, then you think, right, I'm not going to be hijacked by something that's outside of me today. I'm going to stay present. Just for today, I'm going to be as present as I can. And when you just practice that for a little while, the days become magical. They just become magical.
Indeed. Well, you
Indeed.
become who you are. And you begin to come into a realization of who that is. And when that comes, you begin to have the realization of how you got here and
Yeah.
what it is you came to do. And that's when life truly gets interesting.
Yeah, it does. That's when meaning,
Yes, because
it
now
just
you're engaged in the meaning of the purpose of you being here in the first place, rather than trying to fight the distraction, right?
really good.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It just gives meaning to meaninglessness itself. It gives meaning, like soul meaning. For me, it's soul meaning. And then
Exactly. When
and
we
then the
leave ourselves
person,
out of the equation, we've made it meaningless.
yeah, exactly.
It's just all of this, and we're not even there in it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And another important thing happens when you begin reeling the attention in on the self and sitting in your own felt presence. You begin to realize that is the reality you're experiencing, whether that be to the tiniest degree or the maximal.
Mm,
When it's to the tiniest degree, yeah, things don't look so good. Life doesn't feel so good. But when you learn to do that in a way that your own felt presence becomes more maximal, and your own felt presence is what you're experiencing life through,
yeah,
now, now you're living.
yeah,
Now you're alive. Now you're awake. Awake in the dream,
exactly.
in the data field,
Exactly.
and the visual kaleidoscopic patterns all around us.
Yeah,
Right? And you can bring it to life and you can tinker with it and
yeah,
you can deposit new ideas into it that allow
yeah,
it to have more capacity. That's the really
exactly.
important thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, you can get to play so much more than just surviving. You get to play.
Yeah, at that point, it's not surviving at all. It's presence, pure
Yeah.
presence, and what that is and what it can do.
Yeah, and it just
What
takes
it
some
can,
time to get used to that as well.
indeed.
You know, you have to kind of get used to that.
Yeah, but beginning, just beginning
Hmm.
is the only important thing. Just beginning. Set a little place aside in your home where you're going to practice every day. Your timeout area.
Yeah,
When you notice you're no longer in homeostasis, when you've come off the balance point, when things are seeming more chaotic than not, then go to your little practice space.
yeah, yeah.
Stand there or sit there or lay down there
Hmm.
and come back into yourself. Just put the attention at the brow and pay attention to the fact that you're breathing for 5 minutes. You'll never be sorry you did.
Ever.
You may not want to get up after 5 minutes. Don't,
That's all the medicine you need right there, isn't it?
even if you think you have to.
Don't get up.
Yeah. No, if you don't want to. If it's
No.
not there in you, yes, then be there and just feel for the right moment to complete the practice and get back up again,
Mm.
and then walk that wave.
Yeah,
And your whole life will pattern out in that way, or much of your life will pattern out in that way.
it will. And when you're born into an environment that doesn't facilitate um nurturing or recognition or if you're really good at something and it's not recognized, or you have a gift, it's not recognized. So it's like, don't worry about that. It's kind of dismissed. Like the beauty can get so dismissed. But
Mm.
as you get older, you can no longer blame your childhood because you're an adult now. And now you're responsible for yourself. And now you learn to parent yourself. And to create a space like that for yourself is showing up for what you are. And when you show up for what you are, that's when you can begin to emerge forward because it's safe enough. You're creating a place for you be nurtured within yourself. And you think, well, that I didn't ever have that. No, so make it. Like make one. Like do that now. And or I'm not enough, or it's not worthy. I'm too busy. I've a load of kids. Absolutely, totally abandoning yourself over and over and over again because your dad abandoned you. It's like don't get stuck on the learned behavior. Come off the learned behavior through meditation. You can do that. And then begin to, as you said, just slowly, 5 minutes, just breathe, be present with yourself, go into your heart, be present. Then that feels good. And when you build on that, showing up for yourself, it just becomes natural. Like you just want to do that.
Yes.
You want to. It's like, yeah, you put your kids to bed and you're like, no, do it before your kids get up, or I'm too tired. Well, take something out of the diary, like prioritize yourself. Nobody prioritized me. Will you prioritize yourself? There's an insurmountable amount of excuses why you can't do that.
Sure.
Sure, for all
But
of
it's
us, right?
exactly that action coming into your presence and your felt presence, most
Mhm.
especially, that what is the wave behind that presence can start to come in on you.
Yeah,
That this is important. This is important because this is what begins to lead into the expanded states.
yeah.
Okay. And whether those expanded states are experienced right here through life
Hmm.
and or whether they're taking you out into extra dimensions
Hmm.
really matters not. Maybe most people won't come into that latter aspect, but there'll be those who are ready and ripe for it right now in this life experience. And so doing that is what will allow that to begin to take place. How do you go out of body? You learn to sit in your own felt presence.
Yeah,
You learn to focus the attention in on yourself, focus attention in on attention itself, and observe. That is what will allow you to observe the expanded states of consciousness and begin to enter them, even physically, such as in the OBE.
yeah.
It's simple, not easy, but simple. And the idea is just to begin. Did you
Mm.
have practices?
And loads. Over the years, I've had so many practices.
What were the practices that helped you the most?
When I was a Christian, I would worship for about 2 hours a day. And what that did was that was a practice. And that was unbelievable because my heart was wide open and I could see through the eyes of love. So I got to see all of my childhood and I got to see a lot of stuff through the eyes of love. And so when you view something through the eyes of love, you've alchemized it, you've healed it, you've realigned it, but you've got to stay in that position, because I believe the past and your past is affected by how you are now. And then from that, I went into meditation, and then it was always just there was always a devotional time, to devotion to time itself, to myself, to just give that to myself. I've had that, Jesus, I've had that for years since I was in my 20s, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. The
That's not.
pathways in for us each are so unique. I just enjoy hearing what others are, and your pathway seems almost divine.
There was so many miracles I witnessed, and miracles and healings. That was kind of like my world, because it was all about Jesus and this relationship I had with Jesus since I was a child. And then I kind of came off that, and I wanted to experience something for myself, that it didn't belong to a God or a Jesus. I just wanted to know, what actually am I? I know what these are, but what am I? So then I had to kind of just go in and go in and go past all the familiar knowns that I've done with the repetition of the familiar known places, and then just find what I am, and then land in what I am and experience that. And then that will begin to develop. And then I'm like, whoa, it's like you're meant to become a tulip, but you become a daffodil. You're like, the tulip's like, but I'm meant to be a daffodil. Oh, it was a very different experience. And it started with the worship.
Mm.
huge groups of people, you
Oh,
know,
powerful then. Yeah.
very, very powerful. Yeah, beautiful people, just huge groups of people. Um, and I kind of got really into that. And so that's kind of where my memory will. I don't know if there was anything before that, but that's where
Did you have mantras?
you know, I'm not a mantra person. I just don't have the facility to repeat all the time. I don't have the concentration actually.
Mm.
It's not part of what I don't have access to the concentration for mantras. I've tried them, TM, all of it. I've tried all of it. I have tried everything that was available to me and came into my field. I tried it and I just found the groove where I just felt flowed more naturally.
Is it because you had a preference for the silence or for some other reason?
You know, when I went to India and they were talking about mantras, it just annoyed me. It's just, I was like, oh, here we go, mantras. It's like the resistance was there. I don't know where it came from, but it was there. So there was going to be an obstacle with mantras in me. I never wanted it. Mantras is just something I've never been into. I'm just, when I, when I close my eyes, I don't need to have a dialogue or anything like that. I just need to, there's a presence and it's very strong. And then that presence begins to envelop me. And then I'm enveloped within that presence. And then I expand out into that. And that's when the experiences happen. So it's more of a feeling than the repetition. I've tried the mantras, it never worked for me.
So feeling was stronger for you than, for
Definitely.
instance, sound.
And then I had to come off that. I was like, come off the feeling. Stop with the feelings. You've done that now. Let's go off the feeling. You have to feel it. Let's just be it.
Mhm.
Close the eyes.
There we go into the silence. Yes.
Yeah, the silence there, there's the silence, and then there's the and then you're like, oh, my mind's chattering. And I'm like, that's not what we're here for. We chatter later. You can chatter later, but right now, it's my time. I'm going into myself. And then there's like a switch. It's like a dimmer switch. It goes boom. And then I'm anchored in.
And
And
how
then
long can you stay present once that happens before you fall asleep?
an hour.
Okay, wow.
That will be long for me. I can easily do half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm trying to build it up to an hour now to the next 6 months, an hour once a day. And then I'm going to try and do it twice a day if I can do it. I'm pushing myself for the rest of the year. I'm pushing the boundaries of my comfort zone. And I'm good with 30, 40 minutes is my happy place. I can stay there.
Mhm.
And then like my mind just like I woke up this morning. I was somewhere and then I was in my room and I'm like, oh, why did I come back here so soon? What's 5 a.m.? What's this about? And then that can happen sometimes. You're just kind of snapped out of it. It's just
Mhm.
over,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
done.
Do you keep a log of your meditations?
Here we go. Here's the teacher. No, I don't.
Well, if you really want to push yourself.
I know I do sometimes. If I have in a different experience, I'll love it.
Here's the thing. It's very challenging to conceptualize data in expanded states if you don't begin writing them down. So
I
it's like
know.
when you wake up from a dream, unless you conceptualize it in your mind in a way that lets you write it down, it keeps being ephemeral. You know,
Yeah.
there's something going on in there when you're in that state, but you don't know what it is. It's too ephemeral for you to touch. You actually have to use your cognitive faculties to start to put words on it, even some of it, even one aspect of it. There was this
Mm.
there was this purple circle, and you just write down purple circle. It doesn't matter that, you were at the beach and such was happening. You remembered the purple circle. And so write that down, and always write down, minimally, write down the date, write down the time you began the practice and the time that you stopped and the total duration or total length of the session. And then again, any concepts, you can remember it all. And those can be feelings. I felt warm. I felt pleasant. You can do it this way to begin.
Yeah, great.
Any visuals, this will begin to break you in on the visuals that you're actually observing in there. You're just not cognizing the fact that you are yet.
That's
So
right.
bringing the cognate, that's what I had to bring in last. I mean, that's what I had to bring in, and I brought it in last,
Hmm.
was the cognitive faculty. And so, yeah, that takes conceptualization and writing them down. And then
Yeah.
as you do that, it begins happening more and more easily until you realize you were, oh, I was out of body. And, you were
So
start writing down the experiences. Yeah.
yeah, so become the observer and the witness at the same time, and I'm doing that for the next 6 months because that's a commitment. I've never wanted to. I did it years ago, and then you're like, well, what's the point? I never read back on these things ever.
Reading back on them is important also down the line. Because day one, when you begin a practice, you're right at ground zero. You're standing right up on the wall. So close to the wall you can't see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you write down one practice session worth of information,
Hmm.
you don't really see much, right? But now at the end of the week, you see a larger set of data. You see a larger data set.
Yeah.
End of the month, an even larger data set. And now repeating patterns might be able to be shown. Oh, I'm seeing the color purple a lot, or whatever it happens to be. Uh,
Lovely.
and then at the end of 6 months, and the end of a year. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see a much larger picture when you're looking at the year. So it's really interesting to go back into the logs and read a large span of time. So you
Yeah.
can see a larger things begin to make more sense. Because with one practice, again, you might be getting the hair of the tail of the elephant, and through other ones, you're getting the ear and the eye, and then but when you take them in all together, you're getting the elephant. You're like, oh, of course.
It's so valuable what you're saying because I I had journals and what I decided to do this time was to journal and to spend more time, like go past my comfort zone of 30, 40 minutes, sit for an hour, and then after a couple of months, do another hour, like push it, journal it. Like I'm not like you, okay, in the sense where I'm kind of in and out, you know. I'm half foot in, half foot out, and I'm very casual about it, and I don't give it enough credit because it's just there. The information I need is there, and I can do stuff real quick. But documenting, and over the years, um, the voices, the higher self, whatever that is, would say, write it down, and I go, why? What's the point? Because I'm just going to have another experience later. Why do I have to write all them down? My consciousness knows, and I'd have these debates, but I regret it now.
Do it and you'll see why. Don't do it and
I
you won't see why. It's like the people who
no.
say, oh, well, why meditate? Why do I need to do that? I already know that it's important or that I need to. I can just do it when I'm doing my living, formal practice isn't really necessary. You can hear it, right? But
Uh-huh.
when you stop resisting it, I mean, if you're really ready to go the
Yeah.
distance now,
Oh, I am.
and if you're not, you won't start writing down.
Yeah.
But if you really are, then you will. It,
Yeah.
it it'll feel natural. It'll feel, yes, this is the right thing to start doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
And
Love
it
it.
remembers things. It's interesting how our memory works. One, if we don't repeat things, we tend to forget.
Yeah.
So you can have a mind-blowing out-of-body experience, not write it down, never share it, never repeat what happened in the experience, never write
Mm.
it down, and it's gone. Just like what we did 2 weeks ago at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is gone.
I know.
So what the journal does, it's an actual body.
Hmm.
It's an additional body. We're going to extend our body to to include
Lovely.
this. And I'm sorry, my computer does that.
Amazing.
And it's going to hold the data for us.
Love that.
Okay. It's going to embody what happened right here in 3D physical space for us. come back and read it again in a week, in 3 months. The things that happen in our daily life, we tend to repeat and share with other people.
Mhm.
Portions of it will make sense in the moment of what's happening right there in life, right?
Yeah,
And so that gets us speaking it. Yes. And now we're bringing it even more into the world. We're not just writing it down, we're speaking it. Yes. Now, if we record that conversation, we have another log. You know how many things I remember differently when I'm just off the cuff saying it to somebody than when I go back and look at my logs?
really,
Yeah, especially
really.
with timeline or time flow of something. This happened before this. I'm like, no, that happened before that. I'll go back to
This is
my logs and I'll see,
you're
no, that
so
wasn't the order. You know,
you're so lucky.
I always say the OBE started in 2009 and specifically the summer of 2009. I went back to my logs and I'm like, no, they started before that. Because what happens in my mind is the most mind-blowing, fully conscious shift one that I had. I always that one happened at that point. And so I always think of that one as being the first one. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It was just the one that it was the first fully conscious shift one,
Mm.
and that was quite lengthy. Anyway, yeah, we start to remember things wrong.
Yeah. I'm also like a drifter too. I'm not methodical. In school I never made notes. I'd never read notes. It's just but I am now doing it. Actually, today's the 1st of July. Today it starts. And so um I'm doing it for the next 6 months. Like I want to get into the habit of doing it just to see what that's like. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just to experience that.
Have the experience and then see what the experience is, and the experience will inform you. Yes. Well, if you do it for long enough, if you
Yeah,
just meditate for 2 weeks and then stop, that's not going to inform you very much, right?
not
If
really.
you meditate on a regular basis in a disciplined fashion for a period of a year,
Mm.
that's going to be able to inform you in a much larger fashion of what life is with this and what it is without it.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that's
same thing
they're
with the
different
lungs.
worlds apart.
I'd say if you're gonna, engage in a discipline, be ready to engage in it. Give yourself to it for a year, minimally,
Yeah, why not?
and then assess. Really challenge yourself. After the years in which I was going out of body so much, 2009 to 2014, uh, the crystal work came online after that. But I was missing the out of body happening as regularly as it was before. And so I got this idea when I woke up one morning from my dream state. It was just a sentence, 365 days of dreams. And I knew,
Mm.
oh, how fascinating. Let's see if I can bring back dream data every day for 365 days. And I did that. I enjoyed it so much. It took me a while to get into the swing of it. Every day it requires a discipline, it requires
Mhm.
time, it requires waking up much earlier than you normally would. So
Mhm.
there's a lot that, goes into something like that. But at the end of the year, I had enjoyed it so much, and the data was now just coming through, like water, that I did it for another 4 years.
Wow.
So
Okay.
every day, every day, every day, every day. Now, what happened in that?
I don't know.
I realized more of the OBEs I was having. I was realizing, when I was in the out of body state in there. And of course, that got documented as well. Whereas if I wouldn't have started doing this, I would not have started bringing back that information.
You're a data collector, aren't you?
Mm, it's important to get back with the information.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I think your soul is a data collector. Like on a soul level, you're a
You
data
think so?
collector.
I'm here to collect your data. Give it to me.
Collect your own data. You're here to collect your own data. I mean, like, yeah, that's
Well, it's
like,
important to get back with the information because we don't want things to always be the same as what they are now,
yeah,
right? We
exactly.
don't want to be in that static state. We need more information. Yeah. new
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
As Terence McKenna would say, right? The world is in crisis.
He's so great.
Yeah. Who brings new ideas back anymore? I mean, it is a rare thing. I brought back the work with the quartz crystal.
You sure did. Jeannie
How's
Max.
that for new information for the field?
And it was original information. This is like, what's that?
Exactly, something nobody else had been doing.
Absolute OG. Nobody doing that. Maybe in Atlantis, but right now in our history and our reality, no. That's something else.
Communications galactically to planetarily through a clear quartz crystal. Somebody
Tremendous.
probably had done it before, but not, I didn't know of anybody who had.
No,
You know.
me neither.
And once I did start doing this, I can see that other people had engaged briefly in
Mhm.
it, but not to the depth and degree that I ended up doing it.
No, because when I got to know you, I was so fascinated with what you were doing, and I was painting at the time. And when I would paint, I have a friend, and she would always say, "Do you see the beings in your painting?" And I'm like, "No." And every time I'd paint, I'd show her a video, and she'd point them out. There's beings all over your paintings, and I'm like, I don't see them. So she'd have to circle them, and then I just started seeing them, and
Mm.
I just was I thought, what is that? Like,
It's a repatterning of your attention. So the in order to see the 3D Earth-like field in the beta frequency brainwave, then it allows us to see in a certain way with space between one thing and another thing, for instance,
mhm,
right? But when the brainwaves shift and we repattern our attention, we can begin to see what's behind the level of reality that we're in right now. And it has outline, shape, and color, just like what we do here. Pareidolia, what they call pareidolia, seeing something that's not actually really there, uh, is just an inability to see beyond the 3D Earth life field, framing it that way.
mhm,
When you begin to see in the way that you've just said, you're achieving an extended range of vision.
mhm.
Not pareidolia, an extended range of vision,
Yeah,
seeing
thank you for saying
beyond
that.
the
Yeah.
normal. Yeah.
Well, here's my point of this, because when you started doing the crystal, or when I found you and the crystals, and I bought a crystal and I said, I'm going to try this. And then I was like getting the faces, and I'd send it to you, and you'd say, yeah, okay, who's that? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And you were like, well, why don't you know? I was like, I don't know. I'm just taking pictures. She's like, that's not how this works, Biba, because you've got so much depth to everything you do is so considered and it has depth. I was like you have to ask them to come forward and tune into who they are and why they're there. And I thought that's a lot of work. I
Well,
have a lot of things going on in my life. Like, how long is this going to take? So then I'm thinking, I wouldn't do it without the integrity of what you're saying. So I just put it down for a while. Then I
mm,
picked that crystal up about a year ago. It's this huge crystal. I have it here. I took a train to the other side of Ireland to get this crystal, and it's an incredible crystal. And when I looked through the crystal, there was eyes looking at me, and they were moving like this, like eyes. And I thought, what is that? This
yeah.
isn't like a maybe face. This is an actual pair of eyes, and they're moving and they're watching me. And then I thought, I don't really want to know what that is. And not because I'm in fear of it. It's like, that's a commitment. And I'm not ready for that commitment because I'm pursuing other things that are important to me right now. But
Yeah.
your depth of the information, the data collecting, you have an unusual knack for that. It's not that like easy, I know for you, but for someone like me, it's like I have an aversion to that. And now I'm trying to break the habit of that and become more disciplined. I can sit, that's no problem, but it's
Yeah.
get the information from the sitting.
That didn't even require discipline for me. I was riveted. I was curious. I was curious to that degree. And then I was curious with why other people couldn't see, like the storyboard ones,
Mhm.
and how I could help them be able to begin to see. So it became a service.
Mm.
And that's when the ET portrait, we started doing the ET portraits, just big old
Wow.
faces that, you can't miss, right?
Yeah, right. You've presented it like here it is. Here's your man. I
Yeah,
love him.
yeah, there is quite a process involved in all that. It was fun.